A mountain man is an explorer who lives in the wilderness and makes his living from hunting and trapping. Mountain men were most common in the North American Rocky Mountains during the 1800s. They were instrumental in opening up the various emigrant trails, allowing Americans in the East to settle the new territories of the West by organized wagon trains traveling over roads explored and, in many cases, physically improved by the mountain men and the big fur companies. Mountain men arose due to the economic expansion of the North American fur trade. Much of the growth came in the wake of the published accounts of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Two international treaties in 1846 and 1848 officially settled new western coastal territories in the United States and spurred a large upsurge in migration. The days of mountain men making a good living by fur trapping had largely ended. The fur industry was failing because of reduced demand and over-trapping. With the rise of the silk trade and quick collapse of the North American beaver-based fur trade in the 1830s and 40s, many of the mountain men settled into jobs as army scouts, wagon train guides, or settled throughout the lands which they had helped open up. Others, like William Subbold, opened fort trading posts along the Oregon Trail to service the remnant fur trade and the settlers heading west. The life of a mountain man was rugged, and many did not last more than several years in the wilderness. They faced various hazards, especially when exploring unmapped areas. Biting insects and other wildlife, bad weather, diseases of all kinds, injuries, and the opposition of indigenous people presented constant physical dangers. Grizzly bears were one of the mountain men's greatest enemies. Winters could be brutal, with heavy snowstorms and low temperatures. In order to stay alive, the men needed keen senses and knowledge of herbal remedies and first aid, among other skills. In summer, they could catch fish, build shelter, and hunt for food and skins. The mountain men dressed in suits made of deer skin that had stiffened after being left outdoors for a time. There were no doctors in the regions where mountain men worked, and they had to set their own broken bones, tend their wounds, and nurse themselves back to health. A fur trapper was a mountain man who, in today's terms, would be called a free agent. He was independent and traded his pelts to whoever would pay him the best price. That contrasts with a company man, typically indebted to one fur company for the cost of his gear, who traded only with that company and was often under the direct command of company representatives. Some company men who paid off their debt could become free traders using the gear they had earned. They might sell to the same company when the price was agreeable or convenient. John Colter, one of the first mountain men, was a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition. He later became the first European man to enter Yellowstone National Park and to see what is now Jackson Hole and the Teton Mountain Range. His description of the geothermal activity there seemed so outrageous to some that the area was mockingly referred to as Colter's Hell. Colter's narrow escape following capture by Blackfeet, leaving him naked and alone in the wilderness, became a legend known as Colter's Run. Hugh Glass was a frontiersman and fur trapper best known for his survival from a grizzly bear attack near the Missouri River. The films Man in the Wilderness and The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, are fictionalized versions of his adventures. The mountain man has become a part of American folklore and a keystone in the tale of the nation's origins. Many today still romanticize the work ethic and ideas of the brave men who risked their lives to discover new lands and seek out adventure.